Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with NXT broadcast live last night on the USA Network from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. The show featured two opening matches in the tournament to crown a new NXT Women's Champion, with Lyra Valkyria defeating Kiana James and Tiffany Stratton defeating Gigi Dolan.
And Dolan looking to put the finishing touches on Stratton. Oh, but you gotta wonder if the shoulder coming into play, Booker. She's not 100%, couldn't pick up Stratton.
Gotta have that shoulder.
Stratton, no problem. Oh, wow. Hoisting up, dropping Dolan. And now Stratton setting up for what she calls the prettiest moonsault ever.
God.
And Stratton the first to advance in the NXT Women's Tournament.
Stratton and Valkyria now advance to the semifinals of the tournament. The NXT Women's title was recently vacated by Indy Hartwell due to an injury. A new champion is expected to be decided at NXT Battleground on May 28th. In the main event last night, Braun Breaker defeated Trick Williams by submission. NXT champion Carmelo Hayes attempted to make the save when Breaker attacked Williams after the match, but Breaker laid him out as well. Gallus made a fourth successful defense of the NXT Tag Team Championship, defeating the Dyad. In other results, Dijak was disqualified in his match against Ilya Dragunov for assaulting the referee and using a steel chair. Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen beat Hank Waller and Tank Ledger. Duke Hudson topped Javier Bernal. Eddie Thorpe went over Damon Kemp, and Charlie Dempsey defeated Tyler Bate. In ratings news, Monday Night Raw this week brought in a total audience of 1.785 million to the USA Network, according to Showbuzz Daily. That's in line with last week's audience of 1.778 million. In the hourly breakdown, Hour 1 drew 1.779 million viewers, rising to 1.905 million for Hour 2, and dropping to 1.670 million for Hour 3, marking a loss of 235,000 from the second hour to the last hour, and a cumulative loss of 109,000 over the course of the show. The rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was 0.51, translating to 670,000 viewers, and down from last week's 0.54 key demo rating, according to WrestleNomics. Despite the drop, the episode came in fourth place for the night on cable TV in the key demo, up from fifth place last week. Last week's Backlash Go Home edition of SmackDown drew the show's lowest audience on Fox since August of last year, and the lowest rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic since last December, according to Showbuzz Daily. A total of 2.059 million tuned into SmackDown, down nearly 17% from the previous week's audience of 2.473 million. The key demographic rating was 0.52, down more than 22% from the previous week's rating of 0.67, according to WrestleNomics. The previous week's episode, including the return of the WWE Draft, featured a marked increase in general viewership and key demo ratings. Despite the lowered ratings, the episode still ranked number 1 for the evening in the key demo on network TV, which was even with the previous episode. AEW Rampage once again drew the smallest total audience in the show's history, with last Friday's 6:30 p.m. episode bringing in 294,000 viewers to TNT, down slightly from the 298,000 that tuned in for the similarly rescheduled episode of the week before, according to Showbuzz Daily. The rating in the key demo was 0.09, representing 117,000 viewers, and even with the previous week, according to WrestleNomics. Both episodes are tied for the second lowest key demo rating for the show in 2023. And in Impact Wrestling news, the company will be putting on major events in Australia for the first time this coming summer, according to a press release put out yesterday. The events have been scheduled at the same time that New Japan Pro Wrestling has pulled out of its previously scheduled Australian tour. Impact's Down Under tour is scheduled to include 2 shows on June 20th and July 1st, both at the Equex Center in the city of Wagga Wagga in New South Wales province. The release cited New Japan's postponement of its Oceania Cup events, which had been announced back in December due to scheduling and talent availability issues. The Impact Australia shows are scheduled to be carried internationally on Fight TV, as well as Impact and digital social media platforms and other international broadcast outlets. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The wrestling news can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the wrestling news across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the wrestling news. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.